Marky D, the new face of YouTube.
Hello Shove It Squad and welcome back to the Impact Recap. Impact Wrestling, we're on a bit of a hiatus for the last couple of weeks. They put out 2 recap shows. At the start of the first recap show there was highlights of a match early in the year with an audience, and if you needed another reminder of how much better wrestling is in front of an audience, here it is. This stuff between Ace Austin and Trey McGill was way better than the work I've seen Trey McGill do in the empty arena format. So sooner the pandemic's over and the sooner audiences can get back to this Impact Zone or whatever this arena is that Impact currently tape in, the better. Speaking of Ace Austin, he's in action first in a 4-way match for this week's Impact. He comes out with some jabroni with dreadlocks. The next competitor who comes out looks like a college student who just got out of bed following a night out on the piss. They're joined by someone who looks like Brains from Thunderbirds and Crazy Steve. The drowsy ginger does a dance routine with Brains. The ginger guy then charges Ace Austin, hugs the turnbuckle and eats a spin kick. Crazy Steve misses this attack and staggers exaggeratingly. The guy in pink resortes in and then hits Crazy Steve with a tilt-a-whirl head scissors. He follows that up by drop toe holding Ace Austin onto the ropes and hitting this vault out drop kick to the face. I've taken one of those from a wrestler called Robbie T at the Selston Hall. I messaged Robbie Taylor to ask him if he stole it off this guy, but he came up with the move himself, so probably just a coincidence. The drowsy one shoves Brains off the top rope. He then gets on the top rope himself and has a prolonged back and forth with Ace Austin. Ace Austin looks to back suplex him off, but drowsy one lands on his feet and follows up with an enziguri. He follows up with a front flip dive to the outside where he lands on his feet impressively, but he follows up with 2 very unconvincing hand swipes and eats a kick from Ace Austin. The guy in pink does Thunderbirds Are Go suicide dive to the outside. Then Ace Austin does a backflip to the outside. Back in the ring he hits Crazy Steve with like a gourd buster with a turn. That pink guy does this kind of unconvincing backflip neck breaker. That's a terrible 619 from Drowsy Geezer. Drowsy Geezer then does that Spanish fly kick up, vaults to the outside, vaults in, springboard, splash. Crazy Steve ends up getting these 2 guys in the corner. He then dumps Burning Hammer kind of the pink guy onto both of them, follows that up with a jumping DDT for the win. Sami Callaghan then gives us an acid trip with a technical difficulties overtone. He says this isn't a fairy tale and in the real world bad guys can win, and advises Eddie Edwards not to bring his wife along. There's then another absolutely dreadful fake paid ad by Tony Khan, and no, I'm not saying that because I don't understand his gimmick. Some of you AEW fanboys will write anything to just not look at what's staring at you right in the face that this guy is terrible and doesn't know what he's doing. He stands so awkwardly with his arms folded the entire time, fails to conjure up a single captivating sentence, and has the charisma of a pube. Cody Deaner, who has now joined Eric Young's cult of frowning, is challenged by Rhino and Cousin Jake. They go on to have a tag match where Joe Doring shows his power of frown. Cody Deaner stumps a mud hole in Cousin Jake, then frowns intensely. Cousin Jake's able to backflip out of a back suplex to tag in Rhino. Rhino goes to work for a little bit, then tags Cousin Jake back in. Cousin Jake doesn't fight Cody Deaner but keeps trying to talk sense into him. Meanwhile, Joe Doring takes Rhino off the apron's edge and takes him out with a clothesline from Frowning Hell. Cody Deaner hits the Frowning Effect DDT for the victory. A post-match beatdown is interrupted by Tommy Dreamer, looking sad and pathetic, looking a right state as well. He's also out of breath on the mic. He's barely done anything. He sets up a 6-man tag for Hard to Kill. This security guy, who last week tore Moose's shirt, will now face Moose in a 3-minute challenge. There's then a fairly uninspiring segment with Mrs. Earmuffs, Rosemary, and Deonna Purrazzo and her ghost lackey. I enjoyed watching it, it looks like, as much as they enjoyed partaking in it. Rohit Raju and Chris Bay challenged TJP and Manic to a tag match. Tennille Dashwood then makes some sort of proposition to Rosemary in the most atrociously lit thing so far in this show. There's then an abysmal women's tag match, and this woman cannot hit the ropes to save her life. For some reason she repeatedly does so, and I really can't even be bothered, as you can tell, to say anything more about this abominable crap match. It's a disgrace that it was put on Access TV, even if Access is an obscure cable channel. The Machine Guns and Rich Swann cut a promo in which Rich Swann is like the second coming of Booker T with his weird accents.
In my country, they say, if it looks like a chicken, if it clucks like a chicken, it's a chicken. You talk about the mafia to the face. And you see from this day forward. And you know one more thing. It's all about the five.
I done been a machine gun before once or twice in my career from the inner city. Cleaner, Mr. Broom Broom, we gonna sweep it up. Kenny Omega, another championship thinking that they run this place? After everything I've been through? After everything it took for me to get this championship? Hell no.
After Rich Swan does the Mickey Mouse voice, Alex Shelley suggests they take it to Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. But in attempting to do so, they come off the worst end for the second week in a row in the brawl. Jordan Grace challenges Jazz to a match at Genesis. Yep, there's another special on Saturday I'd forgotten about. And James Mitchell has successfully gotten Sue Young to, well, not Susie, but Susan. In the Moose 3-minute challenge, Moose blasts this Hamanaga, who's actually been wrestling for 14 years, with a Uranagi, and then another, and then a powerbomb. This guy doesn't get a single thing in, but Willie Mack comes out to distract Moose, so he wins the 3-minute challenge. Ethan Page is then having a conversation or a therapy session with his own Kung Fu alter ego. It ends up with him challenging himself to a match at Hard to Kill, which I can't say I'm looking forward to seeing this show's budget. Mercifully, it's the main event next, so I've not got long to go before I'm out of my suffering. Sami Callaghan drives Eddie Edwards through a chair with an explosive suplex. Referee Humpty Dumpty has a big fall and calls the match off. Continue brawling and Eddie Edwards looks to deck Sami with the bat, but then
Callaghan and the hacker that is Callaghan manipulating the lights.
Yeah, I thought I'd just let Josh Matthews explain it because I've just lost the will to summarise what's happening now in this review, and having listened to this drivel for the better part of this show is the reason why.
2. Oh, and there's a shot by Eddie Edwards.
Are you okay? Eddie?
So yeah, there's nothing I can really add to that. Remember what Paul Heyman said in the Rise and Fall of ECW documentary? Accentuate the positives and hide the negatives. You know, if you can't film an action scene, don't film an action scene. If you can only do the music of a trailer but not do the cool slick camera cuts, then just don't bother. If you have someone who can't act, don't put her in a predicament where she has to act as if she's imprisoned in a cage and her husband's getting strung up by barbed wire. Holy crap, that was just dreadful. Why do I do this to myself? Oh wait, of course it's for you guys. It's for you guys and brother Marky D. So, I will see you back here next week and let's hope it's a more tolerable show. I will leave you with a positive song. In light of what I just said, I will leave you with this song, Accentuate the Positives. Okay, never mind, YouTube had some other ideas. Fortunately, I have come up with a backup plan, so here to sing a special rendition of this song, please welcome back to the channel, Wrestling Bios. You've got to accentuate the positives, eliminate the negatives, latch on to the affirmatives, and you might say, don't mess with Mr. In Between. I'm just going to go ahead and spread joy up to the maximum, and bring gloom down to the minimum. You should have faith, or pandemonium, and you don't want to be liable to walk upon the scene. To illustrate these remarks, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark, what did they do when everything looked so dark? Well, they said, "Shut up before I smack you one." Yeah, you heard me.